Plates ready? This is Food School, Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast. Want to feel amazing, love the way you look in the mirror, and perform your absolute best in the gym, at work, and in life? You're definitely in the right place. Food, it's you. It builds every single cell of you. And if there is one thing every human being must master, it's food. Because at the very least, eating, you do it every day, several times a day, every single day. You might as well get good at it. I'm your host, Shurina from Create Yourself That Today, your personal nutritionist and plate watcher, your diet guide and explorer, your fat loss coach and food inspector. And just someone with a lot of passion and obsession and curiosity for healthy food, healthy diets, nutrition, optimized human performance, everything and absolutely anything you put in your grocery shopping cart, your fridge, on your plate, and in your mouth. It's my business. Food School, on a mission to help you eat better daily.
It's the last time I talk about food. It's the last time I talk about food.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast. How did you like our conversation with Nate Young yesterday? Did you like the Q&A format? Let me know, and let me know what you think, and probably I'm gonna do quite a few of them because the most important thing for me is to help the most amount of people, and to be able to help people, to help you guys, I need to actually know and understand you better because, from my perspective, a lot of things when it comes to healthy eating and diets are pretty simple, but it's because I'm spending most of my time doing research, working with people, experimenting on that, thinking about that, reading about that, absorbing all this information, right? So things that seem to be easy or simple or intuitive for me actually are not for most people, and that's what I'm realizing more and more when I work with more and more people and answer simple questions that are confusing or overwhelming or complicated for you. So let me know what you thought about the Q&A episode, and if you want to be featured on my Q&A episode, shoot me email to angela@createyourself.today, and you'll get a unique chance to get all your nutrition, fitness, healthy lifestyle questions answered right then and there. And you'll also help a lot of people just like you by asking your questions, because most probably questions that you have, a lot of other people have them too. And when you ask them and get your answers and get really clear on those answers online on our podcast, it helps a lot of people to get more clarity around food and around healthy practice in their lives too. So step out of the shadows, get out there, ask me questions, become a featured guest on my podcast, ask all your questions and get all your answers. That will also help a lot of people. So that being said, let's get to our episode. And the topic of our conversation today is meal planning. A lot of people find it very complicated to plan healthy meals and stay on top of their nutrition, because I've just been talking today with a couple of friends of mine, and they were saying how confusing it is these days when you get so much information that is very often conflicting and contradicts each other, and you see all these big names backing up those completely different views on nutrition and health and diet and foods you should eat and foods that you should not eat. And it's very confusing, especially if you are not someone, in nutrition science, in health science, and don't necessarily understand all the terms and why certain things might apply to you and why certain things do not apply to you. It is very confusing, and at the end of the day, we all gotta eat every single day, right? And that adds a little bit of pressure, because every single food choice that you make on a daily basis, that you make continuously, that affects how much health you have, how much energy you have, and eventually how you show up for your life and what kind of life you have, how you interact with others, with the world, what kind of life and how long of a life you get to live. So very important. Today I will try and do my best and will simplify meal planning as much as possible for you. Well, before planning anything, you actually gotta ask yourself, like, what's your goal at this point in your life? Not 20 years ago, not 10 years ago, not even a year ago, but right now. What are you trying to achieve with your nutrition? What is your or few main goals that you want to work on through nutrition? Like, for example, is it maximizing nutrition content of the foods that you eat? Is it your health? Maybe you have some health issues that you gotta address with food. Is it weight issue that is very often connected with the health issue? Is it energy, like you just don't have enough energy and you feel like you're always tired? Is it some digestive issues that you're always worried about or concerned about? You have indigestion, or your regularity, how you go to the bathroom is not the way it's supposed to be, it doesn't feel right. Your longevity, maybe you're trying to optimize to live longer and of course hopefully live better too. For me personally, for example, I always focus on things that combine and affect, preferably in equal measure, my health, my longevity, and my performance. Looks, you might think that, weight loss or weight maintenance or six-pack abs are very important to me, but they're actually more of an outcome of combining health, performance, and longevity together and maximizing for those. So for me, it's very important to feel that I'm healthy. For me, it's very important to know that I'm also investing in my long-term health, and I'm not compromising it, at least not a lot, not on a regular basis. I'm not compromising my longevity, knowingly cutting my years, like, for example, eating some foods on a regular basis that I know contribute to increased inflammation or some other important for longevity biomarkers, right? And then my performance. Do I have energy for things that I want to achieve in my life? Do I feel energized on a regular basis? Do I have enough energy from morning till the time I go to bed to do my best work, to show up for myself, for the world, for people I work with, for my family, for my friends, the way I want to show up? Like health, longevity, performance. And performance, a lot of times for me, is energy that I'm able to output, to invest that energy into things that matter to you, right? So health, longevity, performance. And then again, the way I look and my fitness, it's usually just an outcome of those three important aspects of my life. And I know that in order for me to get maximum health, maximum longevity, maximum performance, I need to invest into the most nutritious foods, my time, my effort of educating myself about them. So it's my personal passion. I'm not just a nutrition coach. It's actually my personal passion, trying to figure out the best way to eat to squeeze maximum health and maximum longevity and maximum performance out of myself. So I feel like I live my life, live it to the fullest every single day. That is very important to me. And I'm trying to squeeze as much nutrition as possible from every bite of food I put in my mouth. And I'm trying to make it taste good too. And if there is chocolate that is absolutely delicious, but it's also good for me, why not, right? Chocolate also proven to improve blood circulation to your brain. It's proven to improve the communication between cells, between neurons, and it increases creativity and the pleasure, the joy of eating also contributes to health, to longevity, to performance, and the sense of well-being, right? So nutrition, health, longevity, yes, but also, of course, I'm trying to bring more flavor. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to bring more nutrition into my meals as much as possible. That's why I am always on the lookout for the most nutritious foods that can allow me to get maximum amount of nutrients per bite, per calorie of food. And then flavor, I want to enjoy my food too. And also I want to have fun with it. Human life is not just about, health, longevity, and performance, but also some fun. But I'm also make sure that that fun does not compromise my priorities, because if I have fun but do not have health, longevity, and performance, then that fun becomes more of a liability than something I truly enjoy. So anyway, this whole first part of our talk is about figuring out your priorities. And you see, there is no right or wrong answer. Those are the things that are important to me, but something else might be more important to you at this point in your life, and that's totally fine. And there is no one who you should allow to tell you what should be more important for you. Even if it's even if you choose something else that might harm your health, for example, or your longevity, but that ultimately adds life into your days, it's your right to choose what is right for you. So take that right, realize what's important for you, and invest in those things. So first things first, and you gotta first set the priorities. What it is you're trying to do with your nutrition. When it comes to nutrition, to food, what's important to you? What are the things that give you the most joy, the most pleasure, but also do not compromise your long-term priorities? So those are things you got to figure out first. And then I'm going to take my own example. And so for myself, it's maximizing nutrition without compromising my joy of eating too much, right? So there might be some, there are some people who think that, for example, eating raw meat of good quality animals, meaning they were raised in a sustainable and clean way. Eating raw meat or especially organ meats is good for you, but there is no way you can make me eat raw food, any kind of raw fish or meat or, not sashimi, not sushi. No, raw fish, raw meat is not for me. And no matter how good it is, for somebody, I'm not going to do it, even if you tell me I'm going to live for 1,000 years. So, there are just some things that no matter how good they are for you, you're not going to do. So, understand that for you. What kinds of foods work for you, and what things are you're willing to try and adjust to eating. For example, sardines. I never knew I would love sardines, or I never knew I would love Brussels sprouts, right? But I love them. But it wasn't love at first sight, exactly. So also figure out what foods work for you, what foods don't work for you, and what foods you're willing to try and try to get used to, and what foods are absolute no-no, like raw fish or meat for me. That is absolutely disgusting from my perspective, no matter how you look at it. After you figured out your priorities, more or less, first thing to do is decide and realize or think about how many meals do you have a day? Where do you have those meals? When? Do you have 3 meals a day? Like myself, I have 1 meal a day, usually, unless I'm training a lot, unless something else, usually 1 meal a day, and usually after my workouts. That's just how I am. I didn't start there, and it took practice, and I'm not saying I'm going to do that forever. That's just what I'm comfortable with, what I feel when I feel the best. So I have 1 big meal a day, and usually again somewhere in the afternoon around 3 p.m. after my workout, kind of to break my day into parts and get ready for the second part of work and creation or whatever have you. So how many meals do you have a day? When do you have those meals? First thing, figure that out, write it down. Number 2, have meal template for each of your meals. Like, what do you usually want to have for breakfast? What are you having for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner? Where are you having those meals? If you are at a restaurant or a cafe or traveling, what kinds of foods are you going to have? You gotta have that in your head so you don't make decisions in those hot moments when you're in a rush, when you are already in when you're already traveling and you got to make decision right now. Don't leave your decision up to that moment. Like, that is the worst tragedy. You're gonna make the worst decisions, and that's why most people's nutrition is so shitty, because people do not think about it in advance. I do, but that's, a lot has to do with me being a professional. But I also coach clients. I also make them think about those things and plan. And all people tell me that it's so much easier now to eat healthier when they have a plan in their head. So number 2, have a meal template. What are you having for your breakfast, for your lunches, for your dinners? Where are you having those meals? If there is a party or an emergency, what's your solution for that? So have meal template in your head. For example, my meal template for one of those for one meal of the day is these days I always have a lot of vegetables, probably like a pound of vegetables or half a kilo of vegetables cooked. Sometimes I have salad on top of that. I usually have an avocado. These days I also try to eat every day cod liver because it's so rich in vitamin D. Probably the only food that is rich in vitamin D. So vegetables, I try to have some fermented foods, an avocado, cod liver, again, a lot of vegetables. And then I have, on some days, I make sure that I have some seafood, some fish, especially some fatty fish. On some days, I have some organ meat, some livers or some hearts, or maybe some meat on the bone. So I have more nutrition variety in my meats. Sometimes I have eggs, sometimes I have chicken, sometimes I have turkey. I try to bring as much variety as possible, whatever is available to me where I am in the world. So vegetables, protein, healthy fats, a lot of fiber, a lot of vegetables and fermented foods. That is my to-go meal. Whenever I'm out, whenever I'm traveling, whenever I do not have the control of what I'm having exactly, I still do have control of my choices. So in my head, I always have vegetables, protein, and some healthy fats. Ideally, the quality might not be the best, but that's okay when you travel. If it's something that you do continuously, then you gotta figure out a solution how to make it the best quality possible, because that's your health we're talking about at the end of the day. So you gotta have that meal template. For me, vegetables and protein, that's the to-go. And I also know that fish, for example, organ meats have more nutrition than muscle meat or your steaks or your chicken breast, right? So I would always go for, let's say, grilled salmon or some liver or some seafood, or even, eggs are better options than steak, for example. Not just from my perspective, but nutritionally, when you look at the nutrition profile, it has much more micronutrients than muscle meat or steak or something similar. So meal template, this is number 2. Always have a plan in your head. Number 3, create based on how many meals you have. Meal template, create a shopping list. So you decided already how many meals you have, where you have those meals. You've decided on meal template what you're having for breakfast, for lunch, what you have for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, for snacks. And then the third step, you're going to create the shopping list for that. So for example, I recommend to people, and I do it myself, to shop once a week. It saves you time, it saves you energy, and also you go to the store for groceries less times, and you don't make those food choices every single day going to the store. You go there once, make all the decisions, make all the shopping, buying, and it's the best strategy to stick with your healthy eating habits. So you shop once and get the foods that you use for your breakfast, lunches, dinner, snacks if you have any. Already snacking is not such a great idea for your digestive health. Anyway, decide what foods you are having and approximate amounts. Always get some extra healthy foods, extra vegetables or extra proteins, because you just never know when you need them, and it's better to have them and put your mind at peace, knowing that you have yourself covered, or as many people as needed. If you are a head of a household, a mom or a wife, and you're taking care of somebody else's meals too. So get some extra food, get all the foods you need to prepare your vegetables, your meat, your protein, your fats, maybe some snacks, maybe some school lunches for your kids, or maybe some lunches for your husbands or wives. So shop once a week with a list so you don't buy any unnecessary foods. And guys, my advice, when you go to a store, have a list with you and stick to the list. At that store, there's going to be marketing, especially if you're hungry. Don't go to the store hungry, by the way. You're going to be bombarded with all these foods and messages and packaging, and your mind will start wandering naturally. And if you don't stick to the list, you're going to buy more. You're going to buy unnecessary things that are going to compromise your healthy eating habits. So stick to the list, and for the next week, think about new list if by the end of the week you decide that you needed more, you needed something else. So make decisions about grocery shopping once a week. So number 3, shop with a shopping list. Number 4, that is very important, guys. If you want to stick with your healthy eating habits and plan, this step is very important, and I call it time allocation. So you need to decide when you cook, when you eat, when you fast, when you're having any of your meals. You need to decide, and you need to put it in your calendar at least once. You need to, everyone have 24 hours a day. You cannot stretch them out. You cannot cook food when you scheduled work. It's not going to happen. So you got to allocate time for your cooking and your eating. You're a human being, and it's really not a great idea to eat in front of your computer or to not cook because you decided to check your email, countless times. You need to allocate time for proper care of your meals. You need to cook or arrange your meals to cooked of good quality in a certain way. You need to allocate time to eat, not in front of your computer, but actually sitting down and eating. That's why I also love 1 meal a day, because that way I can allocate 2 hours for cooking and eating without rushing and actually paying attention to my food and enjoying it. And that will also help you to improve your digestive health and your mindfulness and decrease your stress levels a lot. So number 4, allocate time for proper cooking and eating. You are a human being. It is a requirement for you to eat every day, to have your cooked food properly cooked and prepared. So deal with that. Get better at time management and have time for your meals to cook, to eat them, and do everything you need to do when it comes to your meals. And number 5, that is also very important, that can sabotage a lot of your healthy eating plans. Have plans for special occasions, things like traveling or parties or no time to cook on certain days. Have plan for emergencies, and you'll be surprised how very few things really cannot be prepared for, and how very few things and occasions there are to have an excuse not to have a plan for your food and for your healthy eating and for taking care of yourself and of health. So this is the last step for today. Again, pre-step to recap everything that we talked about today. Before you do any kind of planning, decide on your priorities, decide what's your goal for your nutrition right now, what are you trying to achieve, what are you working on, and anything will do as long as it works for you and as long as you know that that is what you choose for right now, for this stage in your life. So once you realize your priorities, what foods work for you, what foods do not work for you, what foods you know you need to include in your diet, and what foods you are willing to try and which foods are an absolute no-no. So after that, step number 1, how many meals you're going to have, where you're going to have it, decide on that. Meals, snacks, if any, time. Figure out your whole meal routine. Number 2, you gotta have in your head your meal template or meal plan. So what are you gonna have for your breakfast, lunches, dinners? In my head, again, it's vegetables, its protein in the most simple form. And then when I can and when I have the chance to choose everything that I want to have at my meals, I have my fermented foods, my avocados, I have cod liver these days. It changes for me too. But I always have meal template in my head for any situation. Number 3, create a list, shop with that food list once a week, and stick to the list. Number 4, time allocation. Decide when you cook, when you have your meals. And again, you have 24 hours and you gotta sleep, you gotta do your work, you gotta do a lot of things like all of us do. Believe me, there is no person who have like unlimited amount of time. So time allocation, plan it, allocate time for cooking and eating. Again, you're a human being. Those are things are non-negotiable, especially if you're interested in well-being and having a life, enjoying things too. Number 5, special occasions. Plan for those occasions, for those emergencies. Think through your lifestyle, through the things you gotta do, and that will ensure that you fail very few times when it comes to healthy eating, if any. Like, I don't even remember the last time I failed because I wasn't prepared. I prepare, and that's what you gotta do. If you want to be prepared, prepare. That's easy. I mean, just be aware that you gotta prepare for important things for yourself and do the preparation, and the rest will be really simple and easy. So, hey guys, let me know what you thought about this episode, and if you need more help with your meal planning or you have specific questions, don't be afraid to reach out. Instagram, my Twitter, my email, always open for you, for your questions that and I'll do my best to help you. That's the bottom line. And if you want to be a featured co-host or featured guest and get all your questions answered on our podcast, questions that will benefit other people too, shoot me email and we're gonna set you up, and you're gonna be not probably my next guest, but you're gonna be talking with me live very soon, getting all your questions answered. So answer questions and get answers and improve your life and your health. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Tomorrow we're gonna have a very special episode with the CEO of one of the most cutting-edge supplement company that is on the mission to deliver supplements in the most bioavailable form to your body. So we are getting close to making supplements, maybe not completely as good as whole food, but pretty damn close to it. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. The interview with the CEO of the company, Douglas John Papa, if I remember his last name correctly. Anyway, stay tuned. Thank you for tuning in today. And as usual, till next time, eat better daily.